The night before the wedding, Laura's ex asked if he could hug her one last time. Everyone looked awkwardly at me, but Laura pulled him into her arms without a care. I've been by her side for 3 years, so she feels invincible, thinking I can't do without her. When I decided to leave, she casually said, "The wedding's tomorrow, he'll have to come back." She seemed to forget that I was never her doormat. And she wasn't the only Booth's heir. The day before the wedding, Laura's friends threw her a bachelorette party. With a little encouragement, a muscular young male model, holding a slice of orange in his mouth, leaned into her. Amidst cheers, Laura bit into the orange and passed it to another man, right in front of me. I sat in the corner, watching her revel in the power of being the LB Group heir. While our family is new to the business game, she saw us as mere upstarts. She looked down on us. Her mother, though, saw our family's cash flow as a way to bail out the Booths. So she arranged for me to be there, like a prize, letting me act as the official fiancé who'd take Laura back home intact after her escapades. So there I was, sitting expressionlessly on the corner sofa, oblivious to the unexpected guest's arrival. "When did you end up like this? Drinking so much, and your husband doesn't even care?" Laura's ex, Evan, teary-eyed, pushed away the models, causing some screams. Laura laughed wildly, looked at the annoyed Evan, and cursed, "My husband doesn't mind, so why do you care?" He froze, glanced at the disinterested me, and picked up a drink with a pathetic smile. "Fine, call me pathetic, still caring for you. Don't forget, I helped you heal your stomach. Even if you hate me now, please don't harm yourself with alcohol." Laura looked dismissive, but her clenched fists betrayed her feelings. Wow, the power of a white moonlight is really strong. Evan sensed her concern and softened his voice. "Laura, I'm here to wish you a happy marriage. I won't be there tomorrow. Just this once. For the last time. Can you hug me?" His eyes were red, occasionally glancing at me, filled with thorns yet full of humility. It turned the place silent, except for the sound of my phone's gold miner game. I wasn't completely indifferent, but everyone knew Evan's place in Laura's heart. They had a history like characters from an old soap opera with chase and run games. Unlike Laura imagined, Evan wasn't that steadfast. When he heard about the Booth's financial trouble, he ran into someone else's arms the same night Laura's mom approached him and got married. He became a distant memory, never to be seen again by her. If not for my reappearance as the alliance partner, Evan wouldn't have come to see Laura. His motives were clear to everyone, especially Laura. But knowing something doesn't make one aware. She preferred to blame everything on her mother rather than accept that he moved on willingly. In the deathly silence, Laura embraced Evan tightly. She held on like clutching something unattainable, while Evan broke down, urging her not to marry and admitting his struggles. When he confronted me with that direct challenge, I couldn't avoid meeting Laura's darkened gaze. I wasn't sure what she expected. Was it for me to beg her to cut ties with her ex like I used to, or to give her one last night of freedom before marriage? In this marriage game, we all play business. I didn't pause long to choose the latter. While I returned my focus to my phone, I overheard Laura's gritting chuckle, as though angry yet in plea. "David, just ask me, and I'll listen to you." Should I beg, like the past few years, for her to give this fiancé some decency? Inside, frustration bubbled up. Laura had forgotten something. Relationships don't just have to be about begging or equal talking. They can communicate in other ways too, like what I'm doing now, taking pictures of them together and hovering over the send button. This is called a threat. Laura didn't react with anger but instead smiled, treating me as a stranger. "Do you think I care? With your family's investments, just a bit of profit sharing, and not just your parents but mine would tell you not to fuss." I laughed, then told her, "You're right. You've stomped all over me without caring. But just because you don't care doesn't mean Evan won't. I could send this to Stella at S Group. I'm sure she'd be interested to know what her husband's up to." That comment turned Evan's face pale. Back then, Evan fell into Stella's arms at a nightclub. She just lost her beloved husband, and Evan secured his place thanks to his slight resemblance to him. Evan expected to rise through the ranks, but barely half a year later, reports of Stella enjoying other men surfaced. Each looked more like her late husband and was more ruthless than Evan. Now that Evan's got his status, if news breaks about some drama with his ex, forget about him climbing the family ladder again. Even Mr. Son's position would be shaky. His lips trembled as he tried to push Laura away, but she held him even tighter. David, whether I can let go of him or not, that's my issue. Why make it hard for him? Don't forget, you're not even my husband, so don't act all high and mighty. Apologize to him. Don't make me say it twice. Laura's way of threatening me is always the same. She thinks I can't live without her. I smiled, pointing to the married man in her arms. How about I let him take this spot? Oh no, that won't work. The Booths don't let a homewrecker sit in this seat. Evan clearly knew it too, looking pale and nearly fainting from crying. It was me and Laura first. I'm not a homewrecker. Before anyone could react, Laura charged at me and slapped me hard enough to turn my face away. Laura's gaze was icy and fierce, just like the day our families announced our engagement. That day, she looked at me like an enemy, warning me, you're just an arranged match. Evan is my love. So don't overstep. Remember, your family still relies on mine. 3 years ago, because of those words, I carefully stayed outside her boundaries. Except for when I needed to keep face for both families, I never got involved in her affairs. I just played her shadow for 3 years, swallowing my pride, becoming the laughing stock among her friends who saw me as a lapdog. But Laura, back when our family was struggling, we survived off your business. If I could marry you, it would make my parents ecstatic. Yet over the past 3 years, the industry cycles shifted. Our business began to thrive, and our collaboration with the Booths turned mutually beneficial. Sure, the Booths still had the upper hand, but it's not like one harsh word from you would make me cower anymore. I touched my left cheek, feeling the burning pain spread. Laura is wild, but I didn't expect her to hit me over Evan. I smirked, tapping a few times on my phone's chat screen before turning to leave the booth. Behind me, I could hear Laura's friend gingerly comforting her. Laura, he really left. Laura's voice was annoyingly composed. Tomorrow's the wedding. He'll come crawling back. That spot is his sooner or later. What's he got to complain about? Walking down the street, the chill of early autumn cut through the air. I bundled up in my coat and looked at my phone, reading a message from my mom. After hearing about Laura's antics tonight, she tried to comfort me. Even when I told her, Mom, she slapped me. It hurt. She paused, and after several rounds of indirect advice, she was still telling me to maintain the family's connections. After all, we still needed to deal with the Booths. To her, I was a resource to strengthen the family's position, so what's a little suffering? She had gone through similar experiences herself. I was a transaction she'd planned long in advance, just like she had been a commodity once. Maybe there was some genuine feeling, but it never outweighed the family's reputation. I expected it, but I couldn't help feeling disappointed. I dropped my phone into my bag and looked up at the street corner. A woman in a navy blue coat had been waiting for a while. She gently placed a chilled drink on my cheek, massaging it back and forth, and softly said, Laura's always been like that, spoiled rotten, never valuing what's handed to her. But stick with her and you'll have a stable life. Unlike with me, I'm never the Booth's first choice. A future with me wouldn't be the easiest path. Are you sure you want to choose me? Vivian's voice was low and husky, her eyes kind and passionate. Even though this would benefit her, she still kindly laid out everything in front of me. She was Laura's half-sister. Her mother had died from complications after giving birth to her, and her father swiftly remarried, saying Vivian needed a mom. Laura's mom was indifferent at first, until one day she found a photo of Vivian's mother in her husband's safe. The resemblance was uncanny. It might even fool her at a glance. It was like some twisted version of substitute romance. From then on, Vivian was a thorn in Laura's mother's side, especially as Vivian grew and began to shine in business. Laura, meanwhile, continued to make poor decisions as heir. The stark contrast, the pressure from shareholders, and complaints from the board only deepened that resentment. During Vivian's toughest times, Laura's mom tried to squash her. Then she met me. I was kicked out from the private room for catching someone cheating, drowning my own sorrows at the bar. We were both down and out. Now that I think about it, we're perfectly matched. I linked my arm through hers, sensing her body tense, then pointed at the metal billboard on the street corner. Our reflections looked perfect together. Vivian, I don't want to be a pawn in business. You don't want to be overshadowed by your ditzy sister, right? Laura is too arrogant, thinking I'm still hung up on him. You're the better choice. I'm willing to invest $4 billion in idle funds as a token of our alliance, so don't let me down. Vivian pulled me into her embrace, chuckling softly. No feelings. Huh? I caught a hint of regret in her voice, but there was no way to ask her about it. David, if you choose me, I don't need any sort of oath. But thanks, you know what? Tomorrow I'll get you a gift too. How about that? Vivian took me back to her small apartment she bought downtown. From the window, you could see the LB Group's billboard and the big floor-to-ceiling windows of the CEO's office at the top floor. Inside was cozy, and the alcohol in my system made me recklessly bold. I just sprawled right on her bed, no hesitation. I'm just borrowing our future wedding bed for a moment. Hope you don't mind. Vivian did a quick wash-up and came out of the bathroom. I don't mind, but I honestly suggest a face mask, or you might regret it tomorrow. After all, tomorrow you're the main guy, meant to outshine everyone. On the way home, I kept nagging her about what she's planning for tomorrow. But Vivian remained tight-lipped, teasing my curiosity to the limit. It's late at night now, and Vivian surprised me with her persistence. As if untiring, she carefully brought a bowl of warm water and cleanser, treating me like a regular at a beauty parlor. After cleaning me up, she put on a face mask and started massaging my temples with gentle fingers. My phone buzzed a couple of times. It was Laura with some placating message. Evan was drunk today and talking nonsense. Don't let it get to you. The heir of the booths, in her mind, thinks that just one soft word deserves forgiveness from everyone. Annoyed, I deleted her nonsense and just turned off my phone. For the past 20+ years, my life was first filled with hectic studies, then burdened by the shackles of a marriage alliance. During the 3 years bound to Laura, I didn't get a single moment for myself, always wary of my so-called fiancé dragging me into scandals. The world is unfair to men like this. If my partner cheats, the media rush to put my name in the headlines, turning me into gossip fodder. Vivian's presence made me feel this rare sense of ease and shared misery for the first time. Her hands were still in my hair, and my heart raced when I caught a glimpse of her up close. She was so close, I could see her lashes and the tip of her nose. Her warm breath lightly brushed my forehead, intensely intimate. If this were a beauty salon, she'd definitely not be considered a professional technician. Vivian, What I really wanted to say was, if the marriage had been with you from the start, it would have been nice. I probably would have really liked you, but I held back. Vivian's situation at the booths is worse than mine at home. She barely has a say in anything. I didn't want to touch on her sore points, so instead, with a reddened face, I simply said, "You look really nice. When we go register for marriage, can you at least not look better than me?" When I woke up, there was a blanket lightly draped over me, carrying her unique minty scent. As I watched the second hand tick away on the wall clock, an unease grew within me. Last-minute bride switch. An idea so crazy, why would Vivian willingly go along with it? Will it go smoothly? Would the booths agree? But she seemed unconcerned, opening a tie from a drawer, putting it around my neck, then taking my hand to go out the door. She escorted me to the wedding venue before heading off to the booths for negotiations. And even though I was uneasy, I went through the motions of putting on the suit. After what felt like an eternity, Laura finally showed up looking all polished, striking. Upon seeing me in a suit for the first time, her already guilty expression turned to one of admiration. Perhaps warned by her mother, she now knew to treat me with respect. Standing behind me, her voice steady, "David, I drank too much yesterday, but since we're getting married, I'll always give you the basic respect." Her voice carried a hint of guilt. No need to guess that she spent the night with Evan. Respect, it's always about respect. In affluent families, as long as respect is maintained, They overlook the filthy truths hidden beneath the thin veneer. Oh, Laura, it's okay. You might not believe this, but I'm not interested anyway. Her frown deepened, and perhaps out of lingering guilt, she unusually refrained from cutting me down. She wanted to come closer, but I had the makeup artist boot her out. She showed that slightly hurt expression again, murmuring just before leaving, "David, whether you believe it or not, Evan and I didn't go all the way last night." Kissing, hugging wasn't crossing the finish line for her. She said it casually, as if not going all the way meant she kept her perfect woman status intact. Absurd. She probably hasn't seen the news yet. Someone copied the bar's CCTV, and pics of her and Evan snuggling through cracks in doors were already sparking the tabloids' interest. Where the tabloids know, most circles will know, and Evan's wife won't just let this slide. So I could see it coming. He'd definitely try to win Laura back, risking everything, at all costs. My phone was buzzing non-stop. Of course. You know the suit you're wearing was originally chosen by Laura for me, don't you? Evan's taunting texts came rolling in, and suddenly I got what Vivian's surprise was. I couldn't help but smirk. Laura, with your future and your first love at stake, what will you choose? With music playing and guests seated, I walked in my custom suit towards the center of the hall. Then the planned accident happened on cue, finally letting me breathe a sigh of relief. Even if the wedding's on hold, I didn't want to recite lifelong vows with Laura. Felt like bad luck. Evan, also in white, burst into the crowd, shouting at Laura on stage. "Laura, I missed out once because I was a coward. I don't want to miss you a second time." He wasn't wrong. That suit does look better on him. It's like it was made just for him. But he didn't come alone. There was a woman with him, pretty face with a slight bump showing. Evan looked like he was staking his claim, shielding the woman behind him. "This is our baby, 13 weeks along. It was through surrogacy. It's our child. Even if your family doesn't want me, you sure don't want the baby too, right?" I stood there, stunned. I didn't expect Evan to pull the surrogacy card. For the past 3 years, I didn't expect Laura to love me, and didn't think she'd stay pure. But I didn't expect her to lack even basic respect for a marriage arrangement. It's ridiculous, right? The bare minimum for these high society marriages isn't even fidelity. Just don't have an illegitimate child. And she couldn't even meet that low bar. I stood tall, walked right up to Laura, and slapped her with all my might. "Laura, just returning the slap, consider yourself lucky. Evan is still Stella's husband, and if this surfaced after Laura and I got married, forget the already declining booths, it would also hit my family with the wrath of public opinion. How dare she?" The groomsmen, young rich heirs with ties to my family, all blunt and outspoken, piped up, "13 weeks? And the bumps that big? She must be hiding a pillow in there." Lots of guys want to climb the social ladder these days. They'll use any trick. Don't be too upset, bro. The booth's people could hear the little lord's words loud and clear, and Laura's face kept twisting. Her dream love labeled as a money grubber with no scruples, and she couldn't afford to offend those speaking. It was a bitter pill to swallow. "David, I'll make it right. I didn't what? You gonna claim you two didn't sleep together? Need the media to post the bedroom photos before you'll admit it? But surrogacy, there's no way he went through with that. He was just being reckless this time." Laura barely finished when Evan threw a whole stack of surrogacy contracts and test results into the air. Gasps and shouts filled the room. Even if she's hiding a pillow or exaggerating for dramatics, the surrogate mother is indeed 13 weeks pregnant. And news of her and Evan's affair was hot gossip thanks to the tabloids. Laura's face turned pale, speechless. 13 weeks. Right when Laura and I announced our wedding. Laura wasn't over her first love, and Evan couldn't let go of being adored by her. They just couldn't wait, getting back together all over again. The guests were buzzing louder and louder in shocked whispers. Laura's mom almost fainted with rage, grabbed the water cup beside her, and threw it in Evan's direction. Maybe it reminded Laura how Evan suffered for her because of her mother's temper, and she instinctively rushed off stage to shield him in her arms. Yet again, in front of everyone, she dragged my face through the mud. "Laura, do you even know what you're doing?" Laura's mother's scream snapped Laura back to a sliver of rationality. She awkwardly let go of Evan. Too late, though. From the moment Evan appeared in a white suit, the media exploded. The paparazzi waiting outside, like hyenas, with cameras ready to exploit any scandal. Laura's position in LB Group was already shaky, propped up by her parents and my family's support. With Evan's stunt today, forget getting promoted to general manager, she might not even stay as a vice president. I noticed my mother, who always told me to bear everything, gripping Laura's mother's sleeve tightly. Her well-maintained face was flushing red with suppressed anger. Maybe she remembered her own wedding scandal, when her husband's yacht tryst with a server went public, something that haunted her even after silencing the media. Looking across the room, her teary gaze met mine. I think she called my nickname, looking heartbroken. Who knows if it was for me or her precious image. I pinched myself hard, forcing tears, then dramatically collapsed into a warm hug as everyone watched. I'm the undeniable victim here, fainting on scene and getting sent to the Westside Hospital. Despite the booths trying to contain it, a few blurry photos and audio clips escaped, and the rumors spread like wildfire. So the whole town knew. While everyone speculated if our families would clash, I sat on my hospital bed and declared to the reporters, "Thank you all for your concern and support. As a son who owes so much to my parents, I won't let my grievance harm their well-intentioned plans. I trust the booths will handle this properly." The business between the grants and the booths has been ongoing for years. Even if there's a shift in standing, you can't sort things based on strength alone. Everyone knew tearing the families apart would leave both sides battered. As the eldest grant, and a victim of this farce, I gave a weary smile to the cameras, still insisting on easing my family's burden. It made anyone who saw it want to shed a tear or two. My parents visited me a few times, aware of my little ploys but said nothing. With public opinion encouraged by me, the grant stock soared, the assessments mostly beneficial to our shares. Beneficiaries don't speak up. That's a lesson I've learned from my sister over the years. On a sunny afternoon, my mom fixed my messy hair and shoved the household register into my hands. She looked a little hesitant and said softly, "David, I've thought it over. The wealthy lifestyle isn't all it's cracked up to be. If you're not happy, even if you don't want to marry." Before she could finish, I cut her off. "No, Mom. The Booths don't have another son. You can't expect your precious daughter to marry, can you?" As I said it, I surprised myself. I thought I didn't care anymore, but my tone still carried some blame. She paused, then met my steady gaze. "For the sake of my sister's status in the family, you'd sacrifice me, wouldn't you?" She avoided looking at me, said nothing more, and left the room. As the door opened, Vivian came in with flowers, nodding to my mom. The sunlight made her seem extra warm. She looked a little tired and her hair was unkempt. She put the flowers by my bed and started peeling an apple. "Vivian, thanks, but I really don't like apples. You saw my mom bring them in, didn't you? But she doesn't know I can't eat apples." "Sorry, David. It's okay, you're the last person who needs to apologize to me." Silence spread. I looked at her tired face. "You seem exhausted today. Are you okay?" She paused and then shyly said, "I'm okay. I thought you said that on the day we get the license I shouldn't look better than you, so I purposely didn't sleep last night." She placed her household register on the bedside and pulled out a ring. "David, even if this is a partnership, you deserve a proper proposal. Thank you for choosing me when I had nothing. So if I have the honor of sharing part of your life, it will be my lifelong honor." She humbly kissed my hand but didn't force the ring on me. Her left hand already had a simple band, as if it said she was willingly attached to me. A paper I assumed to be a prenuptial agreement lay open. It stated that Vivian willingly gifted me 10% of the LB Group shares before marriage. "I don't have much, but I can give you everything I have." If Laura's mom heard this, she'd probably be furious. 10% of a public company is a huge amount for any individual shareholder. Laura's mom had spent over 20 years trying to acquire shares both openly and covertly and didn't have more than 3%. I couldn't restrain my tears. I'd pretended not to care for so long that when someone finally offered me their heart, I couldn't pretend not to be moved. "I will. My fingers trembled a bit as I put the diamond ring on my left ring finger. It fit perfectly. How nice. It was designed just for me. Finally, I didn't have to give up to someone else. David, what are you two doing? Laura stood at the door holding apples, her face as pale as paper. Vivian didn't even turn around, just smiled contentedly after seeing me wear the ring. It suits you. This was custom made just for you. No one else will flaunt the same thing in front of you. Vivian didn't turn around, her words dripping with sarcasm. Laura's shaky voice came again. It's not. I can explain the suit Evan had. He took my phone and contacted the designer without my permission. I didn't let him. Her explanation was weak, but luckily I didn't have to care anymore. Since the wedding fiasco, Laura had been locked away by her father. She'd really screwed up this time. The scandal at the wedding caught the entire LB group off guard. If Vivian hadn't handled the media in time, the fallout would have been much larger. Laura was temporarily demoted, and Vivian, being the hero, took her place. Vivian's performance and abilities were recognized by everyone. Her rise to the top was well-deserved. Even Laura's mom couldn't stop it despite her best efforts. I heard Laura's mom yelled at her husband, "She's just an illegitimate child. Why don't you help your daughter instead of helping her?" His response was icy. Enough. Compared to Vivian, Laura is the unwanted one in my heart. If it weren't for your eyes being like Vivian's mom's, do you think you could have married into the booths? How Vivian's mom died can be hidden for some time but not forever. I've been too good to you and your daughter all these years. Laura's mom slumped to the ground in defeat. Now, it was clear who won and who lost. Laura's mom visited the hospital a few days ago as well, though I pretended to faint right in front of her, giving the media plenty to talk about. Now, with Laura visiting me again, I wasn't sure if she snuck out or if her mom was desperate, sending her for a last-ditch effort. But Laura, I gave you a chance. I did for 3 whole years. You didn't cherish it. Who's to blame for that? Vivian and I officially registered our marriage, and I smiled genuinely for once in our wedding photos. The actual wedding was scheduled for the next spring. We planned to leverage its publicity for the booth's new product launch. Vivian worked tirelessly preparing for the wedding, juggling work and choosing the ceremony's decor and gift boxes. I committed to overseeing the marketing for the product launch, ensuring nothing went wrong. With the grant's $400 million investment, I needed to maximize this resource. If the stock price rose along with sales, I'd be the happiest man alive. Whenever we discussed wedding details, she'd talk about hers, and I'd talk about mine, leading to her giving me a look full of reproach. Do you prefer Laura's wedding plans over mine? Drop it, Vivian. Quit imagining things. Last night, we went through the gift list all night and barely slept the next day. Time's flying by, and the wedding date is sneaking up. But honestly, it's not really sinking in for me. I've got this mix of happiness and an uncontrollable anxiety. I think I'm starting to really like Vivian a lot. The more I like her, the more afraid I get. And the more afraid I get, the more I just want to run. So I ran to my therapist's office. He told me to try accepting kindness from others, to enjoy the process of being happy. Relationships, he said, will naturally build and crumble. Your happiness isn't wrong, and neither is your sadness. When I was a kid, after my sister was born, it felt like my parents took all their love back overnight. My most vivid memory is waking my sister up once while eating an apple and getting whipped for it. It hurt bad, and when I cried out, my mom slapped me, telling me to stop crying and not wake my sister. Since then, I've been terrified of love being snatched away. I've been hiding my feelings, scared of falling into some fake, beautiful fantasy, only to wake up and find myself on a tightrope over a cliff. But it's kind of magical being with Vivian. It feels like I don't have to tiptoe around our relationship. Before I know it, I'm already smiling. I've started channeling more energy into little day-to-day things, instead of worrying when our marriage might hit a rough patch. Tonight, the wedding photo company sent us the pictures. I picked a few and posted them on social media, almost forcing myself to take the first step. After hitting send, I pressed the phone against my chest. My heart was pounding like a drum. Then Vivian posted right after, filling her feed with 9 pictures of me. I had this thought, half joking, worrying Laura might somehow find her way to us through the online world. I didn't expect Evan to show up at my door before her. After getting the marriage certificate with Vivian, I moved into her place downtown. Hardly anyone knows where we are. But the next day after posting my pictures, Evan somehow tracked us down and stood outside all day. I got home around 8:30 p.m., holding some KFC, only to find him there. He, who was always so proud, was now on his knees begging for mercy. He claimed that as long as I'm upset, Laura wouldn't give him a break. He went on about how Laura said if I went back to her, she'd send him and his child to a foreign country for life. He was begging me to save him like it was a huge favor. Seeing him there, I got a little mad. Where did he get off saying I don't love Vivian? My gaze softened a bit, looking down at him. Here he was, just a kid from nowhere trying so hard to fit into this world. But too bad, even after squeezing his way in, he still doesn't get it. Over the years, countless times Laura saw me angry but was never really on my side. She's just taking out her frustrations on Evan, who's got nothing. Besides, why on earth would I ever go back to a woman who betrayed me? With a smirk, I told Evan, unlike you, I'm not interested in women who betrayed me. But you know, you don't have to rely on her. I could send you to that country myself if I wanted to, and you could never come back. You up for that? Evan was at a loss for words, stuck between saying yes and no. Are you scared you'd actually never leave that place? I asked. His once robust frame now looked thin, and he staggered away, practically stumbling. On the wedding day, I wore a unique suit with a rare diamond ring. I had a secret pocket designed to keep my phone for work updates right before going on stage. So, here's how it went down. The bride, ready to kiss the groom, tears rolling down, and me, the groom, grinning ear to ear about smashing our sales goal, all teeth showing. Do you take this person? The pastor asked for the second time. Oh yeah, I do, I said. The bride, a bit annoyed, blocked our faces with flowers and bit down hard on my lip. We held the wedding at the beach, not stuck inside a banquet hall. Once the simple ceremony was over, the guests hit the private beach. Security made sure no unexpected visitors dropped by. Stella from the S group showed up and chatted with us. Her new guy, who looks a lot like her ex-husband, was there, too. He seemed cute and harmless but spent a ton to make Evan suffer abroad, almost bringing him and the surrogate mother to the slums. The timing of Evan's surrogacy was shady, and he couldn't bear the thought of the child getting our family name. He went all out to sabotage him. Laura, who once promised Evan a dream life abroad, acted like she didn't care, not foolish enough to cross a man who could be Stella's next husband for a boy toy. Laura, drink in hand, faced me with a complex expression, glancing at my swollen lip. I took a big gulp of my drink, watching her deflate and chuckle slightly in self-mockery. David, she started. You should call me brother-in-law, I said. Vivian barged in so aggressively that Laura could barely keep her smiling facade intact. If Evan hadn't messed up our ceremony last time, would we have been together by now? Laura's eyes began to redden, giving the illusion she loved me deeply. Does it matter, though? Are you upset only because your once unshakable confidence vanished as you lost me and Evan as options? So why pretend to be so heartfelt now? But I really didn't. I made up my mind to marry you and settle down. I chuckled sarcastically. Settling down with me means keeping your lovers and illegitimate children in a place I can't see, like a hidden country, right? She took a deep breath and said with utmost sincerity, whether you believe it or not, I only slept with him once when I was drunk, and I never agreed to surrogacy. That child isn't mine. After Laura left, looking shattered, Vivian wrapped her arm around my shoulder and whispered jealously in my ear, you know she's lying, right? I arranged for Evan to be there and leaked their video to the media. As long as I'm around, she'll never have that wedding. The booths always focus on security. Without my help, Evan wouldn't have been able to pull it off. You're not mad at me for ruining your wedding with Laura, are you, honey? I clinked glasses with her and gave her cheek a reassuring squeeze. Not mad at all. After all, the day Laura met Evan, I switched out her usual birth control with vitamins. I was right, we're a match made in heaven. Vivian, I feel the same way. Planned it for a long time. Vivian's epilogue. Even after getting married, everyone seems to think David and I won't have a happy ending. Even David himself thinks that. At a cocktail party, a few businessmen sucked up to me and discreetly handed me a key card. On the back was a young man's phone number. The implication was clear. David didn't seem jealous at all. He chatted with his secretary while I felt a pang of jealousy. Maybe he doesn't know, but I've liked him for a really long time. Years ago, when he visited the booths with his parents, he seemed treated like a product, a chess piece in business dealings. His eyes were bright, full of ice and fire. He was like resilient grass, thriving in a harsh environment. I didn't know what love at first sight was, but my heart raced uncontrollably when I realized it. I found out his family had a sister 10 years younger, who was considered the heir simply because of her gender, despite lacking ambition. Even a passerby from the Qing dynasty would call that futile. My father and aunt thought his family became wealthy too fast, just nouveau riche unworthy of Laura, so they pushed me forward as if to insult me with a nouveau riche's son. What they didn't know was that while pretending to be offended, I was secretly overjoyed. Turns out, in moments of joy, people can become careless. Laura somehow saw through my feelings and insisted on switching the arranged marriage partner to herself. For the next 3 years, I watched David suffer humiliation at Laura's side, my heart aching but powerless to change the situation. I stayed not too close yet not too far from him, climbing up the ladder with the hope that one day I could be his choice. My efforts weren't in vain. Eventually, I found Lucas, who looked very similar to Evan but was 8 years younger. I introduced him to Stella from S Group, praising her for her devotion to her late husband. Then I gave Evan the time and place of the wedding planned by both families. Sure enough, Evan, no longer favored by Stella, broke down immediately and went to find Laura. When I received David's text saying he wanted to collaborate, I almost crashed into a utility pole in excitement. Like a peacock, I wanted to show off everything I had for him. The day I proposed to him, he asked why I looked so tired. Nervous, I just said it was because I couldn't look better than the groom on the day we registered our marriage. What kind of lame excuse was that? I was too excited and couldn't sleep the night before. I even got caught practicing my proposal by the butler and ended up bumping my head in panic. But none of that mattered, because he said yes. He said he had been planning this for a long time. But he doesn't know that in the time he didn't see, I was also working hard toward him. I snapped back to reality, returning the key card to its owner and pulling a fellow attendee into a corner, instructing him to blacklist those sleazy women in our company. The doe-eyed secretary said something straight out of a cliché novel. Vivian, it's been a while since I've seen David smile like that. The last time was when he mentioned making another company go bankrupt in the fall. I promised the secretary a raise in exchange for putting in a good word for me around David. After all, David is a workaholic and spends more time with the secretary than with me. The secretary said David intends to make those women pay for the key card incident. Turns out he cares about me so much. I'm happy again.